Yo, what is going on, homies? It's your boy Stumped back for another Optc video, and in today's video we're hopping into Garp's challenge against Hody, utilizing mono DEX. So this is the first team, these are the supports, let's dive in. Now in today's video I do have 3 teams for you guys, a little bit different to some of the other Garp challenges against the colors that I have been doing. I have normally been doing 2 teams, but with DEX I do know a lot of people have been struggling, as you don't have access to those cheese characters, namely V1 Kaido. So in today's video, I do have the first team for you guys utilizing double Zoro and a full free-to-play roster, utilizing free-to-play subs as well as free-to-play supports. And then we've got 2 big Whalin teams for you guys. One's using the Christmas Legends, the V2 ViviBecca, very similar to the strat we used against the quick one, or that you guys will see in the quick video. This video should be up before that. And we are also utilizing a double kid team. So I was on stream today and had a lot of people ask me to build a double kid team, so I did manage to put that together for you guys, and it actually worked really, really well. So I actually wanted to include that in today's video. So this one might be a little bit longer than some of the other ones. I do apologize for that, but hopefully it'll help you guys out. We're taking down this particular Garp's challenge with mono DEX, as mono DEX is easily the hardest out of all of the runs, well, in my opinion anyway. But as you guys saw on stage 2, you want to actually pop both the super typings of Zoro, namely because you don't actually need it for the rest of the fight. The only time we have color affinity with our DEX units is actually on this particular stage here, when we come up against the Velociraptor looking Fishman and the Fishmen in the back. But you can actually utilize Zoro's super typing to do damage against those units that have very high defense, and when you pop it twice you actually do 2 damage, therefore the 4 damage hits will actually take them out, and you can kill Hody on the first turn if need be. Ideally you don't want to get your specials reversed. Actually, with this particular team, it doesn't really matter, but you don't want to get the attack down from Hody, as it's very, very annoying when we come up to this stage against the Velociraptor-looking guy and those other 3 Fishmen. Now, they are all going to have a barrier, an orb barrier. The 3 in the back have Strength, Dex, and Quick, respective to their colors, and then the guy in the front will have a 2 orb barrier for a random color that he will actually change every single turn. Every 2 turns, sorry. But on this particular stage with double Zoro, you want to actually utilize this time to take some damage, so that way you can get the 5 times captain multiplier, as well as the 20% HP cut. Now, once we hit stage 4, we come up against Hyozu and Vanderdecken. This is the only time the HP cut is going to be effective for us, but that extra 20% and then 20% is like 36% or whatever it is. Getting that extra HP cut actually helps out significantly, as that way we can take out Hyozu on the first turn. We want to pop our Luffy and Ace special, the new treasure map character that's actually live at the moment, so hopefully you guys have finished him out if you do want to try this team. But we're going to use their special, that way we can actually give ourselves an attack buff. Their special gives a rainbow attack buff to your entire team, as well as a color affinity buff to free spirit and shooter units. We don't really care about the color affinity, but as you can see, with the HP cut and the attack buff, we can actually take that stage out in 1 turn. On to the next stage, we come up against Dosan and Zio. Now, this is the stage where most of the DEX teams struggle. Unless you have access to something like Laffy, which can give you, like, the quick color, or V2 ViviBecca, Sanji Pudding, all of those characters that can get that color affinity against Dosan, other DEX characters are going to struggle. But with the free-to-play Bardo, we can actually use his double special to remove the 4 turns of Threshold, as well as give us 3 turns of a 2.75 times chain lock. With that chain lock, we should be able to take out Zio on the first turn, and if we don't, we can actually take him out on the second turn. It sort of just depends on your orb luck for this particular turn. But if you don't take him on the first turn, do not stress, because we are going to take our time against Dosan. Because we have the super typings live, and the unfortunate part of Dosan being a super type himself means that we are doing significantly less damage. He is on a 3-turn cooldown, so once we get to the 3rd turn, we're going to pop the Komurasaki special, and with her double special activation, we can actually abuse that and actually activate it again in 3 more turns, letting us just use normal attacks to take Dosan out. We are running the Mama Shanta as well, so if you guys need to be eating meat orbs at any time, make sure to be popping that special every 6 turns. It's on such a low cooldown, but it also gives so much HP to this particular team. Zoro gives 1.5 times HP to the crew, which is absolutely monstrous, and if you partner it up with something like the Mama Shanta, the poison doesn't matter all that much, because you can rely on those meat orbs to be healing. We can be outputting a lot of damage as we have the super typings live, as well as hitting 3 perfects, you get the 1.65. So the Mama Shanta is definitely the best ship to be using if you are trying to beat this with a double Zoro team. Once we get Dosan back down to the 1-turn cooldown, we are going to once again use the Komurasaki special. That's going to give us a 90% damage reduction this time. And then we're just going to take our time as well. Make sure to be using the switch abilities of Viola and Rebecca as well. They give like a % healing And for this particular team, it's around 3,000, so it's more than the actual poison can do. So make sure you are utilizing that. After we've stalled out on Dosan, you want to just try and farm as many orbs as possible here. And as you can see, we do actually have a full DEX roster in terms of our orbs. So once we've basically farmed them out, we can take out Dosan and move on to stage 6. Try and use those hit counters if you can. Once we hit stage 6, we come up against Icarus and Daruma. Now against these guys, they are going to give us that orb seal mechanic that's so prevalent in like the Hawkins Forest. And they give us 4 turns of burn after the preemptive. They both turn into super typings as well, which means that we won't be doing too much damage against them if we have color affinity, but it doesn't matter because we don't have color affinity anyway. On this particular stage, we're actually going to use the Viola and Rebecca special to remove the burn and give us a chain lock. And then we can use our friend Captain Zoro special to give us some cooldowns, as well as a 2.75 times orb boost, which is really, really nice, as we have taken over 20,000 damage. With that, because we've removed the burn, we're in a really good stead, and we can actually take out this entire stage in 1 turn. If you need to, you could probably stall a turn on Daruma there, but as you can see, like, it's really not necessary at all. Once we get to the final stage against Hody, this is where things start to get a little bit pedantic. We don't actually have a defense up remover on this particular team, and Hody puts up 2 turns of defense up. He also rolls our specials back by 2 turns, gives us 3 turns of Sailor Despair, which means that we can't roll them forward with our Sailor supports. And that's about it. So what we're actually going to do here is we're actually going to stall. We're going to stall a couple of turns, actually. And with this particular team, it actually works quite nicely. So what we're going to do is we're just sort of going to tap through, try and farm up some orbs while we can, and we're going to take the first shot from Hody. Don't stress, you should be at max HP if you've been doing it right. And then he's only going to do around 15k. On the second turn, he puts up 3 turns of damage reduction, as well as still having the 1 turn of defense up, and he goes in Rage. Because he goes in Rage, he's going to do a little bit more damage, up to around 23,000. Just remember, you still have the poison as well, so you will be taking a little bit of damage as well. But remember to switch with Viola and Rebecca. That way you can get back the damage that is dealt through the poison, and we can stall out 1 more turn against Hody. Once we get down to the 1 turn of damage reduction, he's actually going to special bind us for 3 turns, but because we're using Zoro as a captain, we don't have to worry about that. But at this point, we're going to have our Komurasaki special back. He does remove cumulative buffs, so that is only a 70% damage reduction. But because we use the Komurasaki special, we can then use the Bardo special. Because we have a damage reduction, we get 3 turns of a chain lock. We're going to stall just 1 more turn, as we can actually take the damage. We just have enough HP with the Mama Shanta. Like I was saying, it's very important you guys have that Mama Shanta. They're going to finish it off with our Luffy and Ace special to give us a rainbow attack boost. We have the chain lock from Bardo, and then we're going to wrap it up with our Zoro special to give us a massive 2.5 times orb boost, I think. So because we lose our cumulative buffs, obviously it's not the max orb boost that we can possibly get with our boy Zoro, but it still should be around 2.5. I'm pretty sure it's 2.5. With that, we can hit our perfects. We've stalled out enough on Hody, and we can actually just take him out easy peasy. So there you guys go. That was Mono Dex with free-to-play supports, free-to-play subs. We did have a poo on our Zoro, but as you guys saw, it wasn't really essential at all. And you can actually put a stat booster so that your Zoro does more damage as well. Let's move on to the Christmas Legends team now. Alright, so moving on to the first big old Whalin team, we are using a Cerebral team utilizing the Christmas Legends V2 ViviBecca. So this is the team, these are the supports. Let's dive in. Now, as you guys probably saw there, we do actually have a lot of notable supports on this particular team. But in saying that, there's only really 2 that are essential. You really want to make sure that you have the limited rare recruit support Carrot on your Nami, and you want to make sure you have Legend Lucy on your V2 ViviBecca. They're really the only 2 important ones, but Ivankov on Laffy is actually really nice to get around the poison, and utilizing that Mr. 1 support, the new Mr. 1 support that I actually just released on your Croc, is just going to allow you to do a little bit extra damage. But I did just recently pull him on stream today, so I actually really wanted to showcase the support of Mr. 1 and Miss Doublefinger as well. So I have slapped them on the free-to-play Stampede, or not Stampede, the Marineford I think it is, the free-to-play Clash Croc. The support of Mr. 1 on Clash Croc's actually really, really good because it gives a chain buff mechanic. And with his chain lock starting at 2.5, it just, or 2 times, it actually makes the start at 2.7, which is just really, really nice. With this particular team, we are using a, besides Croc, a full legend roster, with V2 ViviBecca and Sanji Pudding being one of the, well, some of the newer sort of releases of these legends. But in saying that, this particular team had no issues taking this content down whatsoever, and utilizing something like Laffy, as well as V2 ViviBecca and Sanji Pudding, we can actually get access to the quick typing as well. The fact we can get access to the quick typing as well actually helps out a lot, namely on that Dosan stage, where he actually has a lot of HP and can do a lot of damage. But other than that, this team has so much healing, it has a lot of attack. It is based around color affinity with our V2 ViviBeccas as captains, but even without color affinity, this team can still output significant damage and manages to take out Hody on the final stage, even without having that color affinity. So it's really, really nice. On to stage 3, we come up against the Velociraptor-looking Fishman and 3 of his Fishman friends. They all have orb barriers. The 3 in the back have an orb barrier respected to their color. And the beautiful thing about this particular team is we actually have access to quick and DEX orbs at our disposal, which is really, really nice with the switchability of Laffy and Sanji Pudding. Another really, really good thing about using Laffy in this particular piece of content is that when you switch with Laffy, not only do they give themselves a 2 times attack boost, but they also bypass defensive effects, namely barriers. So what you can actually do on this particular stage, you can actually utilize their switch ability to do significant damage to the Velociraptor-looking guy, or you can use it to take out the units in the back. Just be mindful though, when you are Luffy, you're actually not getting a buff from V2 ViviBecca. So you will have a 2 times attack boost, but you won't be doing too much damage. Another downside to using Laffy is when you do switch with them and they give themselves the correct orb to break the barrier, because they bypass the barrier, it doesn't actually break it. It's not like Barrier Pen, where it actually breaks the barrier and then does the damage. It actually just goes through and does damage, which is a little bit unfortunate, but nevertheless, when you are in the lore variation of Laffy, you are going to be outputting a lot of damage and actually helps out a lot on this particular stage. After something like 6 turns or whatever it is, this main Fishman's actually going to bind 2 of our random units, but it's not that big of an issue. We have so much healing with our switch abilities. We have carryover healing with Sanji Pudding moving into the next stage. So if you guys do take damage, do not stress one bit. It really doesn't matter one bit. If you guys get lucky enough, though, to pick up the orbs to break his barrier, I would highly recommend doing that first, and then focusing on the units in the back, as Laffy, or especially when you are lore, you can easily just smash through the barrier and take them out by hitting with lore last. So it does work fairly well. So on the next turn, we are going to get binded, but on that turn, we are going to be able to take him out with the switch ability of Luffy and Lore, because we're moving into the Lore variant. Provided our Laffy doesn't get binded, obviously, but lucky for us, we didn't. It just means that we didn't have to stall an extra turn. Like I said, it's not that big of a deal, depending on how long you take on this particular stage, but this particular stage is the one that actually takes the longest, mainly because you are relying on RNG to get through the barriers, unless you have a way to get every colored orb at your disposal, or you have a lot of barrier pen. Moving on to the next stage, though, we come up against Hyozu and Vanderdecken. They're going to give us 99 turns of a regular poison, and this is where the support of EGOgotic is actually really, really nice if you have it. But again, it's not necessary, as you can just switch with ViviBecca every single turn, and you can actually heal back basically the same amount as what the poison would be doing. Plus, when you do take damage with the ability of Sanji Pudding live, that poison's actually going to turn back into 25% healing anyway. So if you don't have EGOgotic, or you just would rather run a stat booster, or if you have limited rare recruit support Sengoku, that is another option if you are missing Mr. 1. On the first turn of this stage, we're just going to try and do as much damage to either Vanderdecken or Hyozu. I actually attacked Vanderdecken, but I would probably recommend trying to take out Hyozu. If you don't kill Hyozu by the second turn, he applies Toxic, which is a progressive poison that'll get worse and worse. With that poison, it's way worse than the actual poison, so you want to make sure that you don't get that. And Vanderdecken will bind your healing. I'm pretty sure he does that on the third turn. So on the second turn, we're going to use the Nami special. That way we can get an orb buff to our Cerebrals and other units. It doesn't matter. As long as we get the Cerebral tag, that's this entire team. And with that, we can actually just destroy the rest of the stage. So it works really, really nicely. We don't actually need Nami special for the rest of the run. She's basically here just because she has access to the carrot support. Once we hit the next stage against Dosan and Zio, this is stereotypically where the DEX team is going to struggle. Mainly because Dosan hits just so goddamn hard that you will die if he hits you. Unless you've got over 70,000 HP, you are going to die. But they put up 4 turns of Threshold, and that's why Sanji Pudding is really good here, because Sanji Pudding can not only give color affinity to our cerebral units, but can also remove all turns of Threshold. I would highly recommend being the Sanji variant before you actually use their special. That way you actually have color affinity against Dosan, and because they give us 2 turns of color affinity, it works quite nicely. We're then going to use the Laffy special after we switch with them, so that way they have the attack boost as well. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, it really doesn't matter, because once we become their dual form, you're actually not boosted anyway. So you just really want to use their special, so that way we can actually just get an orb boost on this turn, and that way we can actually take out Zio on the very first turn. Don't stress about taking out Dosan on that first turn. You really want to just focus on Zio, namely because we actually have access to some quick units, and with Sanji and Pudding giving that color affinity to Cerebrals, we are going to be doing a lot of damage here, like a lot. And I'm pretty sure even just, with the 1 orb on Sanji Pudding, you can actually take out that stage, no issues whatsoever, but you still have an extra turn to take him out if you didn't get an orb, so do not stress. Once we hit the next turn, we come up against Dosan, not Dosan, I just said Dosan, Daruma and Icarus. They both become super typings, and they give us the orb seal, where you have to hit a perfect to break that seal. But it's not an issue whatsoever with running V2 ViviBecca, as we're going to use the friend captain special to give us a 2x attack and a 2x orb boost. Make sure you do that before you switch with Laffy if you do need to, otherwise you won't get the full attack boost to everyone. But with their special, we make every color orb favorable, which is really, really nice. And they actually reduce the chance of landing on recovery and T&D as captain. So this particular stage, which is normally a little bit tricky, is not an issue whatsoever. We're going to finish it off with the Croc special. Croc gives us 3 turns of a chain lock, which means we can carry it into the next turn. And with that, all we need is literally just our ViviBecca special. Make sure you have your ViviBecca special. I can't stress that enough, because we're going to get special rewinded on this stage against Hody. He's also going to give us 3 turns of Sailor Despair, as well as 2 turns of defense up on himself. So utilizing the support of Lucy can roll back our V2 ViviBecca special, and that way we can actually give ourselves a 2x attack and a 2x orb boost. We are going to switch with them first, so we get the chain multiplier buff, as Croc starts at 2 times and gets progressively bigger as time goes on. We're going to start with Nami to break the 2 turns of defense up with the carrot support, and with that we can hit above a 4x chain lock and finish off Hody. So there you guys go. That was the big Whalin Cerebral team. Works very, very nicely and was a lot of fun. Let's move on to the Double Kid team now. And the final team of the video is utilizing Double Legend Kid. So this is the team, these are the supports. Let's dive in. Now with these supports, none of them are actually essential. I do have Super Type Zoro on Bardo, and I do have Ivankov, but I have completed it without either of them, so don't stress. You don't actually need their supports. The only thing that you do need with this particular team is with your rare recruit Jack, you need to make sure that Jack has been limit broke keyed and has level 3 Sailor Despair. That is really the only requirement for this particular team, so don't stress if you don't have the supports, but make sure you have limit broken keyed the rare recruit Jack that did come out with V1 Kaido. Pretty ironic actually that V1 Kaido is not actually very good for this particular Garp challenge. However, one of the units from his batch is actually really, really strong. With Jack, he gives cooldowns, but he also has the Sailor ability to reverse special reverse. The thing with Jack is, though, on this particular Garp challenge, once we get to the end, we get Sailor Despair, but with his Limit Break key, he actually gets Fear Resistance, which therefore means that he can get around that annoying debuff and actually give the rest of our crew a cooldown. The whole team is actually Striker-based, which is really, really cool, besides Laffy. Now, the big reason that I brought Laffy on this particular team, not only can they have access to the Ivankov support, but they also trigger the super typing of Kid. That was really the only reason I brought them, as well as having access to a quick variant, mainly for the Dosan stage. Once we hit stage 3, we come up against the 3 Fishmen with the Strength, Dex, and Quick barriers, and then the unit in the front is going to have 2 random orbs, but with the switchability of Luffy and Law, we can actually take them out on the very first turn, provided you hit with your Luffy last, because he goes through barriers with his amazing switchability. With that, we can basically just finish off this stage thanks to Laffy, and move on to stage 4 against Hyozu and Vanderdecken. Against this stage, they're going to give us poison, so that's where Ivankov is just absolutely godly. It's going to completely remove the poison, we don't have to worry about it, but like I said, don't stress, it's only like a 3000 poison. You can actually get around it provided you're using the Mama Shanta. and the switch abilities of V1 ViviBecca. On this particular stage, we're going to switch with all of our units first, and then we're going to activate one of the kids' super typings. Because we get a full board of block, bomb, or unfavorable slots, this is just going to give us a full board of orbs, activate both kids' 5x captain multipliers, and with our switch abilities giving us a chain lock and a 2x attack on our Laffy, we can actually just destroy this entire stage in one turn. This Dex team is actually probably the fastest that I've used, and it actually worked really, really well. I was super, super impressed with this particular team. So that's a big reason why I wanted to include it in the video. So hopefully you guys smash the timestamps if you wanted to check this team out. And hopefully it helps you guys out, and make sure to smash the like button for me too. Once we hit the Dosan and Zeo stage, once again, just like the free-to-play team, we're going to use the double special activation of Bardo, but this time we actually have the support of Super Type Zoro. As mentioned, the support of Super Type Zoro isn't essential, but it definitely helps out just giving us enough damage, provided you guys got a good orb roll with the switch ability of V1 ViviBecca, or just natural orbs in general. On the first turn, we want to focus on taking out Zeo, so attack with your Dex units if they have orbs. Because they're not going to be very strong against Dosan, you really want to rely on them to actually take out Zeo. On the second turn, we're going to switch with our dual units once again, and then we're going to start focusing on taking out Dosan. Don't stress, Dosan's always on a 3-turn cooldown. Even though the Dex units don't do too much damage, we can rely on Laffy to get this final shot. On the third turn, when he is on the 1-turn counter, we want to switch with our dual units first and then activate the other kid super typing. The reason we want to do this is it's going to give us a full board of bomb orbs, and because we've done enough damage to Dosan, we have a chain lock with V1 ViviBecca and a 2x attack boost on our Law, who also has color affinity. It means we can actually just double tap with those two units and actually destroy that entire stage, which worked really, really nicely. That way, you're keeping at least 4 bomb orbs for this stage against Icarus and the Rumor. They're going to give us 4 turns of burn and give us an orb seal, and that's why keeping those bomb orbs is really, really nice, namely because it allows Kid to get access to his 5x captain multiplier, which is really, really cool. We're then going to switch with ViviBecca, that way we can get a chain lock, and then we're going to activate one of our Kid specials. That's going to give us a 2.5x attack boost to our Dex units. We're then going to switch with Luffy and Law, and then use their special as well.
Shambus.
With the Luffy and Law special, we can actually get access to a 2.5x orb boost as well for the entire team, and that's another reason why you really want to make sure that you actually have those bomb orbs, so at least 4 of your units, namely your Dex units, are all hitting very, very hard. With the chain lock of ViviBecca, we don't have to worry about hitting perfects as well, so we can actually hang on to those bomb orbs, but ideally, I would hit a perfect on your Laffy, so that way you can actually break that orb barrier and try and get another matching orb on Luffy and Law, unless you already have one. On the final stage against Hody, he gives us 2 turns of special reverse, he gives us 3 turns of Sailor Despair, and he has 2 turns of defense up. So this is why fear resistance on Jack is absolutely crucial. We can use his special for an orb bust to our powerhouse and striking units, and give us the cooldowns. We have ViviBecca to remove the defense up, and we have Kid to give us a nice chunky attack boost. Now, with all of our specials live, we've got a nice orb boost, we have some orbs, we have a chain lock, we have an attack boost, and we can actually take out Hody easy peasy. So there you guys go. That was the Dex run against the new Garp Challenge Hody. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you did, make sure to belt the like button for me if you're new to the channel. Hit the big red subscribe button too. But guys, wherever you are in this beautiful world, please remember to enjoy the rest of your day. As always, homies, I thank you for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Lights